Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Thomas Nagel and I'm very excited to be here to present and share with you my knowledge, my best practices and my experiences about an agile method, the design sprint, developed by Jake Knapp from Google Ventures to help companies and firms, manufacturers to develop new ideas, new products and validate it with customer within 5 days. So, a little bit to my person. I'm living next to Hamburg in Germany, and I was working for about 28 years at a company called Claudius Peters, which supplies and engineers machinery and process plants for the producers of gypsum, steel, aluminium, and for sure cement. My whole professional life, I was working on executing jobs, executing projects, and later on being responsible as a director of operations and technique. And over the last 5 years, I could help to get on the digital transformation with Claudius Peters, and we went on an innovation journey there. Today, I'm working for Autodesk as an outcome executive and customer outcome executive, and I try to help customers to achieve as much as possible outcomes and values with the products and solutions provided by Autodesk and the customer success organization. Beside this, my heart is beating still for the smart services, for Industry 4.0, for connected process plants, and my mindset is quite agile. I try to build, measure, learn things to get this new method implemented in everything I do with customers. Today the work, no matter if it is in a workshop, on a shop floor, if it is maybe in an engineering department or design department, spare part department, wherever, is still quite traditional, I would say. So we do typical things like welding, like putting things together as we used to do it over the last years, but we are already in a very new time. The time is changing so fast. We are living in a new brave world. And we have to understand that everything what we have to do is to keep up with the speed of the world. But this is not just a chance, it might be also a challenge, because nobody knows what happens next. The time, everything becomes uncertain, it's more complex. So a year ago we never thought about maybe COVID-19. A year later our world has changed, and we have to adapt fast and precise in a digital way to this new changes. This means you have to become a company who can adapt very fast. Maybe the way of how you work, the way how you communicate, how you cooperate now in COVID-19 times. This also means that your business models must adapt. So the fastest get it all. Or as Bill Gates said once, if you can show me the business case, probably it's already too late. And it means also that you have to learn to use the new digital catalysts, the new and young people, and bring it together with maybe experienced people. And on both sides, the willingness to learn has to be there, the young from the oldest and the older from the young, and then maybe you will have a chance. But in total, I have to say my experience is that the digital transformation is not a project, but an inner attitude. It has to do with people. So how can you have an impact? How can you change the mindset of your people, of your colleagues? And then it's really time to detonate a booster rocket, because if you get them on board and they understand why they have to follow, this might be a good thing. What it also means in these new times is that the knowledge of yesterday and today does not solve the problems, the questions and the challenges of our customers from today and tomorrow. This means you have to learn new things. You have to get into new ideas and methods. For example, the agile methods, design thinking, business model generation, lean startup, agile project management. Everybody knows, or many people know already, Scrum, which means that you got from developing idea, to emphasize the customer. Always start with maybe what is the best for the customer. Come from the customer side to define new ideas, to develop new ideas, to get completely into the customer perspective. And if you have then an idea, you get maybe into the next loop and you try, like a lean startup, you develop a prototype, you ask your customer if it's good, yes or no. If it's good, you continue on this work, and after certain loops, you will have maybe a prototype which might be valid to develop it then agile, maybe inside of a sprint or more sprints, and develop new products, something like this. So the whole agile principles are customer driven. They rely on good cooperation at a very early stage. Be iterative, try small steps, get one time to the customer with a prototype, with a minimal value product, ask him or her what he or she thinks about your prototype. Then integrate the feedback into loops, the data, prototyping again, testing again, validating again. This is how you should start developing your new products or new ideas or new services, always together with the customer. A good example from Steve Jobs, you have to start with the customer experience and work your way back to the technology, and not the other way around. This means always, if you think first from customer side, you think first in the problem space. Think about the problem the customer has. Do not think about maybe the solution your product has. Think from the problem, get to the problem, and then you develop the solution later on. Just have an idea on how it works maybe with brownfield modifications. In former times it was very complicated. Nowadays you can go there, you scan, you use your scan and you use 3D technology, and then you have it combined, and the customer can now watch and be part of your solution. You add it into his plan, for example, just like in this case, and you bring what you design into the world which is on site, and the customer feels that you really got it from his perspective, from his view, from his side, and you understood his problem, and now with new technology you are able to get him on board, and it makes you maybe brings you in a better position to get this job done, for example. But now I would like to jump into the sprint as we did it at Claudius Peters. There's always a lot at stake. Time is tight, so this means that you have 5 days time and no problem is too big, then that a sprint couldn't resolve it. Everything what you see here, what I did at Claudius Peters, I taught it myself. I used this book, I learned and studied the book, and then I adapted it to this sprint. This is my message. You can do it by yourself. If you are interested in this method, try it, and you can teach it or you can learn it yourself. You get taught by this book, by best practices, and then you start. Everything happens in 5 days. You map a problem, you sketch a solution, you decide a solution, you develop a prototype, and then you test it with the customer. So just get on Monday. So Monday we were thinking with 7 people on board in this team, and we were trying to develop an idea. So what can we do to improve our business with our clinker cooler? So how can we make sure in future that we are at the customer side with the right competence? So how can we collect and receive important data and feedback from customer as early as possible? How can we evaluate and use his technical data from the customer for our solution? How do we manage to convince the customer of our concept early on to have a good chance to win maybe the project? How can we bind the customer early and firmly so that he contacts us in future, maybe if he has a different conversion or modification plan? How can we develop and implement standards so that our solution is fast and cost effective? And how can we generate new customers? So these were the questions which we created out of problems. This was not a question we asked ourselves. We said maybe, we are not right in time at customer's place. So we have a problem, we are always too late. So, and we developed then a question, how can we make sure in the future we are at the customer's side with the right competence and early and something like this. So it gives you how can we questions we develop out of existing problems, how can we questions, and these are the sprint questions as mentioned in this slide. Then it is very important that you visualize your workflow, the thing you would like to enable. And this is a simple map. I simplified it a little bit from the map we draw, but I wanted to show just the detail and the details or the principle, what was important for us. We as a supplier of a clinker cooler, we came very late always into the equation from the customer. So we had always to deal with headquarters, maybe with single plants, maybe with EPC suppliers and partners, and we were very late. So maybe the tender came out and the technology was already there, and the study phase was already done, and maybe a different technology was in the tender, or maybe we couldn't influence the tender. So we thought maybe we would like to be as much and as early as possible in the study phase, and then we decided that we have to look into that, but nobody knows everything. That's why we share our knowledge. And the next step, when you defined maybe the map and you defined the sprint questions, you get experts on board. Experts means it can be somebody from your company or many people from your company from different departments. It could be also maybe a supplier and or a partner and or a customer who you think who has great insights to answer you, maybe also to confirm your questions, your sprint questions, to confirm your route map, to confirm and give you more insights which you maybe do not have. One point is very important. The team which is sitting together, the 7 people sitting together, must come from different departments. They do have the challenge, or they have to bring in different perspectives. It does not make sense to sit there with 7 design engineers having all the same perspectives and views on things. You have to have different people with different thoughts, different perspectives on board. At the end of the day, we defined, okay, we would like to develop an idea and solution, a new product, which could be helping Claudius Peters to become, in the study phase, a good partner to talk to, or to give the headquarter or the single plant or the EPC contractor a possibility to use our product so that our technology and maybe the possible that we have a possibility to influence the tender and the technology in the tender with our technology. The goal was we would like to gain trust for brownfield modification and establish a new digital product at the marketplace. Our technology shall be identified early in the tender processes, our customers in future, and we want to win 50 modifications, jobs for 50 modifications per year. Tuesday. So how can we go and how do we get there? Now everybody works alone. No group brainstorming, no people sitting together and talking together. All 7 people sit separately and everybody develops a solution on his own. And he puts the solution and the steps to simplify the process in 4 steps. He is sketching the process, he's starting on it, and later on he has a small story to say. This is mainly the Tuesday. Everybody is working on the solution, and on Wednesday you decide what solution will be the best and with what solution do we go for it. It is now a very important decision, and in this team, the 7 people, everybody has a different role, and there's also a decision maker, and he has to make the decision based on what the team is thinking, but one person has to make the decision. In our case, we looked at one sketch and the idea what was putting together, and we decided for our solution at Claudius Peters that we wanted to do a new digital product, a clinker cooler configurator for our customers. So what we do next is that we put everything together in a storyboard. And again, step by step, we put the things together. We defined 3 teams, 3 different teams worked on the same solution and tried to develop a storyboard which can be used then to build a prototype. Wednesday evening. And also what I forgot to say, this method is for 5 days, 8 hours a day, no overtime, no night work, no nothing. You get there, you have a full and clear program, you stick to the program and you go step by step, very disciplined. And on Thursday we developed a prototype. So what did we do? We said there is no way that we can develop within maybe 4 days a complete configurator, something which maybe takes weeks or months. We do not even know how to do it. But what we knew is, if our idea is good, we define what should be in of this configurator. This is what we did already during the storyboard and during the Tuesday when we developed this solution. And what we decided then is we build a prototype which is a realistic facade, and this is all we need for the customer. We make the customer believe that our product does work. And what will the input data he maybe has to enter into it, and what will be the output information and documents and the value of it if he looks at it. So, and then we started to develop an online intercooler configuration platform. And you see on the left-hand side that there were different possibilities to enter data. Every customer could start with a new project. He would like to do maybe a replacement or something like this. He entered his technical information. And then our internal calculation programs were able to calculate cooler aeration schemes. It was able to calculate a flow sheet with the necessary process data, which helped the customer in looking at the possible upgrade or the possible modification. And this gave him also a return of investment. And on top of it, we were also able to show him the idea that if we defined standards and standard modules, and he would use our modules maybe if he entered also the length and the width of the space he has for modification, we gave him already a simple and predefined 3D model, aeration schemes, P&ID, consumer lists, instruments lists, load plans, and something like this. And everything was shown him as if the solution was real, and he could really look into it and get a feeling how it will feel like if he would use it, something like this. So the last day is Friday, and we went into it and we said, okay, now we test it. Now we find 5 customers on a Friday, which we knew, one from a headquarter, one from a single plant, one from an EPC partner who is offering services and modifications for cement to producers, something like this. And we defined them, and we invited them for an hour interview. This was all what we wanted to have. And we made an online call. So like you work now probably with COVID-19, we did it also with our customers. And we invited him, and we have shown him our clinker cooler configurator to show him the idea how we did things, how things are working, to give him the idea that what he would get out of it, and if our idea is valid or not valid. Behind the scenes, the team was watching, so the team could see what the moderator was discussing, was showing, what the customer answered to it, and this was very important that we learned the feedback and that we got our idea validated. So, and this is the important thing now. Our customers, which we have shown this new digital product, said that this is a very good idea, and they would be willing and very open-minded to use it because it could have an interesting insight and an impact on some modifications, activities or strategies or return of investment things, something like that. So what we have proven then is with all the 5 customers, we got a very good feedback that this digital product is something our customer would appreciate, and we develop now an idea how can we get early on with our technology and have maybe a good impact or an influence on the technology, which will become later on a specification in the tender phase of our customers. We developed the idea, we developed an idea how it will look like, we developed maybe the input and output of this product, and we got a good feedback from the customer. So the next step, if the feedback is good, if the feedback wouldn't be good, maybe we take another idea, maybe we modify the idea, and then we test it again on with 5 other customers. But if you would have then a good idea and a product which might be interesting to develop because the market is there and the customer is appreciating your product, then you get to the next step. You need to develop a business model. Business model means that you describe how an organization creates, delivers, and captures value. And this means you have to think now not just how maybe this good idea and this possible product might be interesting for your customer. Now you have to think about what value you can offer your customer with it. What might be the customer gains and pains. So how have you relationship to him? What are your, let's say, how do you get it to him? How do you ship it to him? What is necessary to develop it? What are the costs? What are the resources? And so on and so forth. Now you get really into this maybe business model canvas. And then again, if you realize it, you would do it as before mentioned, step by step, prototype by prototype, and you learn and validate, and you launch your product, you validate your product, you confirm the good feedback, and you integrate the good feedback from your customer, and this also reduces your risk. Instead of just creating and building a product once, hoping and believing that this product might fit for the market, and then the risk is much higher that you fail because you validated if it's ready. It took you a long time, a lot of costs, and this is what you could avoid if you use the Lean Startup. And this is what Lean Startup is. And I told you I have an agile mindset. I always talk about build, measure, learn. Do something, look how it works, learn out of the feedback, build again, measure again, listen to your customer, listen to your partners, learn from it, do it again. And within these loops, you become or you get a much better product than if you would just think at the beginning what it shall be done, and then you hope that everything what you assumed will be correct. Again, does the product solve the customer's problem? Very important question. Does our value proposition work? Which features are really and only particularly important for the customer? Forget all the others, which might be from fancy technicians, something like this. Who is your core target group? Is the user willing to pay for the product? Is there a relevant market for your product? Do we have a viable business model, as I just mentioned before? If you are interested in an agile project management method, probably you will use Scrum or something in between. And this is now the point where I say thank you. I hope you enjoyed the presentation, my insights, my best practices,
мой опыт,
and lessons
мои уроки. И теперь 25 минут подошли к концу, и я готов ответить на ваши вопросы. Большое спасибо. Я надеюсь, что у вас будут вопросы, и у меня будут ответы. Спасибо.